Today, we are digging into the blueprints for one of the most incredible engineering projects in ancient history. How do you build a beautiful, sacred sanctuary that is also completely portable? It is basically the most elaborate piece of camping gear ever made. We are talking about a massive structure built with immense detail and precious materials. But the real puzzle is that it was designed to be built, taken down, and moved across a harsh desert. This wasn't like building a stone cathedral. To figure out how they pulled this off, let's do what the builders did. Let's start from the outside and work our way in, looking at the main courtyard piece by incredible piece.
The very first thing you encounter is the altar of burnt offering. This wasn't just some fancy decoration. It was the functional heart of the entire outer courtyard. Its design totally reflects that raw, fiery purpose. It was built from super durable acacia wood, but completely covered in heavy bronze to handle intense heat. It was massive, 7.5 feet square. But the real genius was that every single element, from the horns to the carrying poles, was engineered to be both sturdy and portable.
Moving in from the altar, we come to the wash basin. Its job was simple: ritual cleansing. But the story of what it was made from is incredibly powerful. The object used for purification was crafted from things once used for personal appearance, the bronze mirrors of the women who served there. It is a beautiful symbol of transformation, taking something deeply personal and everyday and turning it into something sacred and shared. Now let's talk about the sheer scale of this place. To wall off this sacred space, they created a massive perimeter. We are talking about curtains stretching 150 feet, half a football field, on two sides. And these weren't just rough pieces of fabric. This was finely woven linen, held up by sturdy posts, sitting in heavy bronze bases, and connected with hooks and rings made of pure silver. The attention to detail was everywhere. But a project with this much detail doesn't happen by itself. It needed visionaries. The text gives us the names of the two men in charge. You have the lead craftsman, basically the chief architect of the whole thing, and assisting him was a master of the really detailed stuff, like delicate engraving and design. It was a clear leadership structure, a true partnership of specialists who were at the absolute top of their game. We've seen the objects and met the builders, so let's look at the raw materials. The text gives us a meticulous inventory, which is actually a record of a community's unbelievable generosity. The numbers are absolutely staggering. They gathered over a ton of pure gold from voluntary offerings. Then you have the silver, almost 4 tons of it. And finally, over 5,000 pounds of bronze. This wandering desert community gathered nearly 7.5 tons of precious metals. So how did they possibly gather almost 4 tons of silver while on the move? The text gives us a very specific answer. It came from a mandatory flat rate tax. It was exactly half a shekel, collected from every single man 20 years and older who was counted in the official census. This wasn't a voluntary gift for the rich. It was a strict, equal requirement for everyone. And here is the number that makes it all click. That tax was paid by 603,550 men. Suddenly, that mountain of silver makes perfect sense. It didn't come from a few wealthy donors. It came from a tiny, equal contribution from every single man, multiplied over 600,000 times. You start to realize you aren't just looking at an inventory. You're looking at the blueprint of an entire community working toward one single collective goal. This ancient text, with all its detailed lists and measurements, is really asking a timeless question. It shows us what is possible when an entire community is united in purpose. So, are you dedicating your personal resources to a greater shared vision, or keeping them to yourself? And what impossible mountain could your community move if everyone simply contributed their small, equal share? Take a moment, breath, and let them sink in.